Hi everyone. I've been in an accident. As everyone probably could tell, I was in an accident on May 4th of 2015. I was the big story at that time of getting run over in her own driveway by her son. This is part of the accident right here and here, and some of this. I have it on both arms. When my son ran me over, I've heard my younger son witness the whole thing. His name was Zach. Everybody literally told me that I favored him. He was my favorite. You know how everybody knows that mothers don't have favorites, especially when you have more than one kid. But I had a lot of thinking, and a lot of things happened at the time. I've been in the hospital for more than a month recovering. I've been sent from that hospital to a place in Spanish Fork, far away from my family. Found out that these people were not equipped for anybody that's recovering, like rehab wise. These people were very rude. I've witnessed them drop old ladies as they were transferring them from their beds to their chairs. I've witnessed some of them spent hours alone in their rooms on bedpans. I was stabbed many times with needles where you could feel the needle hit the bone. You could even hear it scrape the bone. The man nurse, was very cruel to people, to everyone. You could tell he did not want to be there. So he took it out on a lot of the patients. So, let's see. I left there. My boyfriend saw the way they were treating me. Kept me in my room. I was in a wheelchair at that time. I had a rod holding my pelvis together. So I was stuck in a certain kind of chair. I could not walk or anything. So they put me in a room about a few feet away from the nursing buzzard thing. And they kept me there. There are times that they didn't even feed me. So when my boyfriend came and they wouldn't let him stay with me because I was having a breakdown, basically, he snuck me out. He packed up all my stuff, wheeled me out in a wheelchair that my mom and my sister bought me, and he took me home. Since I was on medication for my pain, we had to go to the emergency room so that they could give me enough pain pills so that they could get me into Sandy Rehab. Sandy Rehab was like a 5-star resort for anybody. For the 3 months I was at Spanish Fork, or 2 months, and I'm not quite sure because my about time, I'm not really quite sure about what happened, but I never got any help when I was at Spanish Fork. So after I went to Sandy Rehab, I have they taught me to walk again, got stronger. I couldn't squeeze my hands because apparently this hand was paralyzed. This hand was numb. I couldn't brush my own hair. So they got me stronger, and now both hands, as you could tell, they work perfectly, but they're a lot stronger than they were before because I love to crochet. I love to cross stitch. And if I couldn't do that, I would have probably let this depression settle, basically. During this entire time, my son was supposed to get help, and he did, but he only stuck with it long enough to pass, basically. As soon as he was old enough to be released as an adult, he started changing. He wants to rebuild a relationship with me, but how can you build a relationship with someone you're watching go downhill every second you talk to them? Before he left JJS, that's juvenile something. It's an off branch of Child Protective Services, but it's for kids with really bad criminal activities. He is receptible to repeat what he did. And I'm afraid that his girlfriend that he's with might end up saying something while he's off his medication, and he'd kill her. That's my fear. Right now, he told me that he wants to get off of his medication. He told me that he doesn't want to do therapy anymore. But he's turning down everybody's help. He tells me he doesn't want to be like his dad. But I'm watching him go through the same thing that his dad went through. The only thing that his dad didn't have was a choice. Zachary has a choice. He's very smart. He could get himself a job. He could get himself medical so that he could get therapy, so he could stay on his medications and prove that he is nothing like his dad. But I'm watching him changing. He used to be this cute little boy named Zachary. Now he calls himself Caillou. No clue. In my opinion, it's a little cartoon of a boy who is learning wrong from right. But for him, he likes the bad stuff, the wrong things. So I don't mind him calling himself Caillou. It's just that I'm his mother. I won't call him that. His given name I will call, which is Zachary. The other thing is I'm watching him putting contacts in his eyes, making him look like a demon, which he was talking about before he ran me over, that the demons were talking to him and that he was one of them. So he made himself look like them. That's one. The other thing is that he had one relationship with a girl. Of course, I taught my kids to have protected sex. Do not at all, ever. If you cannot protect yourself, then don't do it. If you cannot take care of yourself, you can't take care of a family. But in his head, I don't know. He's not the boy that I raised. He jumped from one relationship to another. He was engaged to this one girl after a month of meeting her. Then after she found out that she was pregnant, well, she contacted me, begged me to send her money. After I told her that, number one, he is 18. He's not my responsibility. And any offsprings he even has, it's not my responsibility. So I told her that if the baby was his, I want to see proof. DNA test. Well, all of a sudden, I hear that my son dumped her. It could be the other way around. You know how guys are. If a girl dumps him, it's automatically he dumped her. But all of a sudden, he met this girl, talked on the phone for a week. And then after 2 days, when they finally met, he proposed to her again. I have no idea why. So I feel like he's in love with the fact of not being alone. He is looking for people to be with, basically. He left his group home that's supposed to show him how to survive out there, how to pay rent and get a job and, how to take care of himself. He left that place to live off this girl. This girl works at In-N-Out Burgers, I do believe. And for some reason, she's like 10 years older than him. And what kind of a woman would say yes to a wedding proposal from a kid that's only 19? And only 2 days after they met. This girl must have a really low opinion of herself. Or something. I don't know. But as the weeks go on of me talking to my son back and forth, I can tell that he's not on his medication anymore. And he's back on doing drugs and alcohol again. How I know is because of the fact that he makes up stories. He glorifies them, basically. He told me he was buying a house. How's he buying a house without a job? Without credit? Well, he told me someone's giving him a house. No one's giving him a house. And for some reason, I know that. I know that he's lying. Because apparently it started getting worse. He's getting a house. But then the house is going to be in Egypt. And then the house was going to be a temple. And then all of a sudden it turned into a pyramid. Earlier in life, he was diagnosed as schizophrenic and bipolar. They told me that they misdiagnosed him. But when he was on medication, he was fine. And now he's not on medication. The girl that he's with, or anybody that he becomes a partner with, is in danger. Because he's not on his medication. When he ran me over, he claims that he was doing drugs at the time. I know for a fact he wasn't, because he was getting therapy. He was with his therapist from 7 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I have him. The girl that he was with at the time filed charges after she found out what he did to me. Apparently, 2 girls in his therapy said that he's been sexually harassing them and bullying them. And they were afraid because he was a kid. For some reason, my little boy had no feelings at all. The day he ran me over, I looked at him. He was looking at me. I was in front of my own car. He tried to sell my car for drugs. So he took my keys, started up the car, I tried to stop him, and his exact words was, "Move out of the way or I'm going to kill you, bitch." I didn't have time to respond or anything. Next thing I know, I was laying on the ground. Everybody was screaming. I heard my youngest son. Then I heard a bang. I heard my neighbors tell me to calm down. Help's on the way. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get up. Then the police told me that my son Zach, after he ran me over, crashed my car. Bear in mind, he didn't know how to drive. He claims he did, but he never knew how to drive. If he did, he wouldn't have crashed my car. But he did. He drove out of my driveway at 60 miles an hour. Yes, you heard me. My car, if you put the gas pedal all the way to the floor, by the time you left my driveway, you would be at 60 miles an hour. But apparently, he drove out, crashed. He literally hit a light pole, a mailbox, and a head-on collision with a parked car. And he walked out of there with no marks. No marks. But me, I had 2 broken arms, a broken femur. My pelvis was broken in 2 places. I had 2 punctured lungs. I had a ruptured bladder. And all of my ribs were broken. And then, of course, this head injury, apparently I hit the hood of the car. So I have an imprint of my Dodge on my forehead. And then also my foot was ripped right off, like it was gaped open like this. And when they put everything back together again, I have severe pains in my chest. Shoulder blades, between my shoulder blades, completely numb. Can't feel a thing. You know those little back shocker things that people put on their backs to help relieve the muscles? I could put one of those things on my back, put it on full blast. I wouldn't feel anything. When I woke up in the hospital, I had at least 4 or 5 tubes coming down my throat, and 1 through my nose. I had vision problems where I could only see straight ahead. Couldn't see my peripheral vision, or whatever it's called. And for some reason, they put my foot back together, and now I have chronic pain. It shoots from my shoulder blades down the whole left side of my entire body, all the way down to my foot. I also have something called a sciatic nerve, or sciatic nerve, that literally hurts. I get severe headaches, depression I get waves of depression all the time. If it weren't for my kids, or if I don't have someone here, I will actually, my depression will settle in. And I can't stop crying. So, I got this person, this little guy. You see my little puppy? If it wasn't for her, I probably would have done things bad. Because I've heard stories about people with when they have depression. Some of them think suicide. And I can't do that. I have a younger son that I need to help raise. And I actually care about him out in the world. Plus my boyfriend. So, sorry. But I don't know. I did forgive my son for what he did to me. But I can't forgive what he's doing right now. And part of me wants to just walk away and pretend I never even had him as a son. It's sad, really. I do love him with all my heart. But how can you love someone that's putting himself right back in the same situation that got him taken away, that got him with a criminal record, and he tried to kill me? And my fear is that he is going to go out there in the world, and I know he's in downtown Salt Lake right now. And I know several people wants to see him dead after what he did to me. Of course, my boyfriend, my ex, wanted to get rid of him. He wanted me to abort him when I was pregnant with him. He didn't really want Zachary, which I did. I wanted him. And it's sad, really, when the family member that cares about him, cares about their kids the most, that would do anything for him, that sacrifices everything, and they rather idolize the parent that didn't want them, that never helped, that wasn't even in their lives. And he idolizes him, which I'm so confused. Because my other two kids, well, my youngest one, he's not the same father as my other two, my two oldest. And my oldest one, my ex wanted. He tried so hard to get custody for him, but he did not want Zachary. His exact words, was he's white. Well, he looked white. He's lighter skinned. Doesn't make him white, you know? Since my mother was or is Egyptian and my dad's Mexican. And his dad is Italian. And he's part white. But not too much. Especially since I met my ex's dad, and he's full Italian. But what I don't get is that why would kids do that? Why would you treat the only parent that would have your back, that's been with you from the very beginning, fought for you, and took care of you, and sacrificed for you? But you want and you act like the person that didn't want nothing to do with you. My ex tried to kill my son Zachary twice. He put him head first in a toilet when he was only 6 months old. He took my son to a guy, and that entire family over there did drugs, smoked marijuana, blew it all in his face. And someone told him that marijuana is not a drug. If it's not a drug, then why is it that people make bad decisions when they're on it? My ex, when he was on marijuana, one of his friends laced it with meth. And one day I was driving him home. He jumped out of a moving car right on the freeway of Bangor Highway. It was midnight at the time, so hardly any cars. And he was in the intersection of Bangor Highway, waving his hands up and down and screaming at the top of his lungs that he wants to die. And it took me and two other of our neighbors to grab him and bring him home. I actually had to lock our house up as a prison to keep him from leaving while he was intoxicated. When he was intoxicated, he sleepwalked. Yeah. Fun days. He was very violent, very abusive. When one day I found him trying to drown my son in the bathtub, that was the day I kicked him out. He tried to kick me out of the house, but good thing I had a friend that was a lawyer that happened to be there, and yelled at him saying that I need 48 hours to leave. So he can't just kick me out whenever he wanted. So, within that 48 hours, I packed up everything that I owned and left. He was pissed because I didn't leave him anything that he could pawn for drugs. And that's what he wanted. The reason why he wanted to kick me out is so that he could take everything and sell it so he could get his drugs. The funny thing is that one day when I was defending myself, he tried to cut my finger off. I kicked him in the balls and locked the door. He called the police. The police arrested me. Interesting, huh? He was reeking of marijuana. He was carrying a pound of it in his pocket. But the police arrested me instead. Goes to show, Utah police, they don't care. They don't care about anything. Especially when someone's doing the crime right there in front of them. And this is what happened with Zachary. When he ran me over, they had him with about 7 charges against him, and one of them was attempted murder. They slapped him on the wrist. Gave him community service. Community service for a human life. That's how Utah is. In my opinion, if we were in another state, and I know this because it happened in other states, where a kid ran over his father. Well, I can't remember the state was, but I do know that kid had a death penalty for killing both of his parents. And he was only 14. My son was only 17 when all this happened. There was another incident where another kid ran over his grandmother. He has lifetime in jail with no possibility of parole. But here in Utah, they'll let you get away with anything here. So, as long as you keep them with a job, of course they're going to let you walk away with everything. You could drown a baby here, and all he'll get would be community service. Especially the ones that look white. Because here in Utah, I've noticed if they're white, they do get away with a lot more stuff. My mom used to tell me, because I was light-skinned, that I was going to get a lot more privileges than my sister, because my sister's darker skinned. And she's right. My sister works twice as hard for a lot of things, where all I have to do is, I don't even have to make an effort, really, and I could get the same thing. But I understand how Utah works. I have a neighbor that's very abusive to her kids. Several people reported it to DCFS. That's Family or Child Protective Services. And they don't help our kids at all. I've watched them too. They're very sad kids. The only time they're happy is when they're away from their mother. And it's sad. I even heard about, I don't know if this is true or not, but someone was telling me that the husband wanted to leave, but he couldn't because his wife had something on him, that he was sexually molesting his daughters, and that she was going to turn him in if he left her. I wouldn't have repeated it if I didn't feel that it might be true. Because I've witnessed several times when they fight, she literally puts her kids in the way of the car so that he can't leave. And I mean, I watched it. I even have one of them on video because we got surveillance on our cameras, because she sends her kids over and steals our mail. She even racked up one Christmas a credit card debt in my name, and I asked what was purchased, and it was nothing but girl stuff like bikes, clothes, jewelry. You know, I never have girls. All of my kids are boys. And the funny thing is that she had the same stuff that was listed on the credit card statement. So I didn't have to pay for it, thank God. But nothing happened to her. She keeps throwing her religion at everything. One time she told a cop that she's Mormon and that she even wears clothes like Mormons and everything. But she doesn't act like a Mormon. She doesn't. I mean, she swears. She beats her kids. One time she was drinking. I mean, if I read somewhere that Mormons don't drink alcohol. She drinks alcohol. She's supposed to be going to church every Sunday. Most of the time, no, she doesn't. She actually, when her husband leaves, she meets up with a guy that comes over here. And then when her kids come home, he runs away through the back door. Read what you will on that. But see, my area where I live in is nothing but drama, and I really need to move from here. We're trying so hard to pack up and leave. We were on housing for a while, and they were going to penalize us because my son, that was a minor at the time, had a job. They told me that since he was a minor, it doesn't count, or unless he's in school. And my son took 6 months off for summer, and they told me that they were only going to pay $20 of our rent because of it. And we're like, no, not worth it. So we got off. And now we are looking for a new house and everything. We want to start our life over again. And for my son Zach, part of me doesn't even want to be around him. I mean, he's changing back into the kid that ran me over. I don't think I could be around that. And my other two kids are scared. They're afraid that he's going to come home one day with a gun and kill us all. All because he's getting off of his medication. When he's on his medication, he's normal. I mean, you could actually have really great conversation with him, and he treats you like a normal human being. He acts like a normal human being. But when he's off his medication, I mean, things that come out of his mouth, you're like wondering whether or not he's possessed or something. I'm not. It's sad. I'm his mother, and part of me, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm terrified. I'm afraid that once he's fully off of his medication and it's out of his system, he starts drinking. And he's going to come home and he's going to hurt someone. Or he's going to hurt the girl that he's with. He tells me that he's fine. But because of his so-called depression, he calls himself that he's depressed. And he self-medicates. But he says he's fine when he's on his medication. And he's taken himself off of them. Just so I could hear him say that he needs medication. They put him on a medication called Seroquel. Seroquel is a medication for psychotic people with no control of their actions. And if he's off of it, society is in danger. When he hurts people, he doesn't care. He has no feelings. Nothing. He had no feelings when he hurt me. He had no feelings when he beat his sister or his brothers. He had no feelings at all when he sexually molested family members. He's dangerous. And I'm afraid that the girl he's with is in danger. I just wish that any girl that's with him wises up. Your life is worth way more than being with him. If he really did care, he would have a job. He would take care of you. He would be the one that's saying, hey, let me give you some money so you could go shopping. Stuff like that. If a girl has to have a guy and be willing to support that guy, where you're doing all the work and he's not, how would you know that he's not cheating on you with someone else? You know, I was once like that. And my ex, cheated on me with my best friend. She's not my best friend anymore. And I've never let anybody that close to me in my entire life until one day my older son introduced me to his friend, his mother, and we hit it off. And she's very, very special, you know? I mean, I accept her for all of her quirks, and she accepts me for mine. There are a lot of times that I would put my foot in my mouth, but who doesn't, you know? And she will tell me, you know? And she knew that I was never serious on things. But she's the best friend I've ever had. And I would totally trust my children with her. I just wish that Zachary would understand that I would not want to be around him if he's going to be the same kid that ran me over. I was hoping that he would get the help that he needed, that he would get a job, he'd be better than his own father. And I could see me hanging out with him, talking to him, having lunch with him, Skyping with him when he wants to. But I can't do it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. He's doing the same exact thing. He's not learning from what he did. Well, this is my vlog. I do believe it's June 30th. I think. I'm not quite sure. But the video is 53 minutes now. So, anyway. Yeah. I had to set this video so I could tell you about that. I am going to set up another YouTube account because I cross stitch and I crochet, and I actually want to show everybody what I've been doing to keep myself from letting my depression eat me, basically. So I hope everybody learns from this video and everything. Oh, if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Please do not post negative comments or anything. I just can't deal with that right now. But if you have questions, if you want to know more or learn about my situation or how I've been, I would be happy to answer. But it's interesting how these little videos kind of help me out a little bit. And I just hope in you guys' heart, especially all the females there, take a good look at the guy that you're with. And if he shows any signs of wanting to drink all the time, or do drugs, or talks about altering themselves, like putting contacts in their eyes, making them look like demons, and everything, stay away from those people. Us women, we need guys that help build us up, that help take care of us, and that we could take care of them. I just hope that it's not too late. I hope that he gets his help that he needs, and that he seriously needs to get back on his medication. You are normal when you're on that medication. When you're off, I don't think no one wants to be around that. You're dangerous. Try to get some help. And I hope everybody that watches this video prays for him. Pray that he gets the help that he needs. Because I know I do it every day. Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna watch my Doctor Who. I'm a Doctor Who fan, so. Yeah, if you saw my computer, it's all decked out with Doctor Who stuff. I even have a Doctor Who screensaver. So, good luck, everyone. I hope to God that God blesses you guys. And please walk in His grace. I love you all. And please watch out for each other. Have fun. And thank you all for letting me do this video. Bye.